It is a beautiful summer's day in 2017 and we're here on Mumbles Hill, but we are not here to take in the scenery. We're not here to walk a dog today. We're here with one mission, and that is to discover a secret right on top of Mumbles Hill today. And the one person that can tell us all about that secret is just over there. Her name is Dr. Edith Evans. Dr. Edith, hello.
Hello.
Hello. So we've come to Mumbles Hill today on a beautiful day to talk about a secret which was discovered pretty recently, really.
Well, several years ago, but we found out much more about it just before Easter.
Okay, and that secret is that this place was used by the Romans.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yep.
you found quite a lot of items here as well, haven't you, to support that?
Yes. If you look in the side here, you can see these little flecks of white.
Yeah.
Those are shells, mostly oyster shells,
Okay.
which they were eating. And we've also found pottery as well, which tells us that they were eating them in the Roman period.
So the fact that there are shells, I mean, were they big oyster eaters?
Well, the Romans, sort of the Romans from Italy, the upper class Romans, really liked oysters. In Britain, before the Romans came, nobody seems to be eating seafood at all, and so it's something that comes in with the Roman occupation. And the people who are living a more Romanised way of life, they're eating much more of things like this.
Why do you think it is that this place is relatively small in comparison to someone like Lucca that had a very large fort?
Well, this probably wasn't military at all, and also, although at the moment all we can see is this small area, it's possible that in Roman times the occupation in this area was much bigger. But you can see over there we've got an area where it's been quarried in the 19th century, and it's quite likely that this was a bigger area of Roman occupation, and we've actually lost an awful lot of it.
Have you found any dwellings or anything here?
No, just the oyster shells and some of the pots that we used to cook them in.
So was this used, do you think, as a posh picnic area for the Romans back in the day?
Probably unlikely, because you're not really likely to come along and have a picnic and bring your pots and break the pots to cook things in and break them there as well. So it's much more likely that people were living here full time.
It's a nice place to live. I mean, now it's gorgeous. Then it would have been just as beautiful.
Yes, but of course we've got a nice day, and in the middle of the winter it's a bit different.
So what else could you tell us about the pottery that you found here?
Well, I've got a bag here with some of the pieces that we found in it, and in this we have got 4 pieces in here. Nice representative samples of Roman pottery. This is a piece of a Roman cooking pot that was made in the Dorset area, and this is another one. They're quite early, they're probably 2nd century, and you can see it's got lots of little grains of sand in it, which probably made it very suitable for heating over an open fire, which is how they would have cooked. And
have you found pieces like this elsewhere too?
Well, this is one of the commonest types of Roman pottery, and it's found all over the British Isles, even up into where the Romans went up into Scotland. Lots of it on Hadrian's Wall, where the dates of it were worked out by comparison with what we know about the fort and the forts up there and the coinage that was found together with it. So the site like here where we don't have any coins, we've already got the pottery dated from coins, so we know what sort of timescale we're dealing with.
It's fascinating to think that this is like 2,000 years old though, isn't it?
Well, not quite 2,000, but more like 1,900 years old.
Which is still a substantial amount of time, isn't it?
Yes, give or take a 100 years.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that's a cooking pot. That's an imitation of a cooking pot in local grey fabric. And then this one is a dish which would have been not much taller than that, but quite wide. And that's the cooking things where you're perhaps it's a bit less runny.
So we know you found the shells, and we found crockery here as well, but what about any utensils?
Well, these are the utensils that we found, but we haven't found, if you're thinking about did we find any cutlery or things to go with, no, we didn't. It's just the pottery.
So what's going to happen to this site from here on in?
Well, it's just going to stay the way it is. When we originally came here, all the sides were covered in vegetation, and if the volunteers, before they started cleaning the soil and the rock on either side, they had to clear the vegetation. So eventually the vegetation is just going to come back again. In fact, you can see in places there are little plants starting to appear now.
And what's important to mention as well is that we were talking about it being a secret earlier, but it's important for this not to be overused, isn't it? It's for people to leave it be and to respect it.
Yes, you can just come along and have a look and look at the bits of shell in the side, but don't start digging holes, because if you do that, you could actually lose information that we can never actually recover again.
And how many people are actually working with your society at the moment on this project in particular?
Well, we had two of our full-time archaeological staff working with a group of volunteers to do the work during the 2 weeks of excavation, and then some of the volunteers are coming back to help wash the pottery.
And are you currently looking for volunteers as well?
Not for this project.
So the best thing to do is keep an eye on your social media accounts, isn't it? 'Cause you're quite active on social media.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to come up here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
The view from this hilltop is nothing short of spectacular and must surely have been regarded as one of the many pleasures that the Romans would have enjoyed, as do today's residents and visitors. I'm sure they'd have enjoyed eating oysters at my next port of call on the Mumble seafront, in an area which has now become a real magnet to both tourists and locals alike. So we're at probably the new destination for 2017. It is the Wharf down on Mumbles. The developer is with us at the moment, James Morse. It is beautiful down here, isn't it?
Thanks, yeah, I'm glad you like it. It's been hard work, but worth it in the end, and it's been really well received.
What I love about your story is that you're a local boy,
Yeah.
and you're reinvesting your passion almost back into the area, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I've been a property developer in London and in Europe, and also spent a bit of time in Brazil and the States. And I've used those influences to come back to Mumbles, which is, I'm from Gower, and looking at, the state of, Mumbles it was at that time, and, and using the influences from abroad to invest back here, create jobs, and create a destination and create an atmosphere and a place that, everybody likes and is proud of. I'm proud of it, and it's lovely to do that in your hometown.
It does look very LA, doesn't it?
It's got a bit of LA in
Yeah.
it. There were certain influences from LA that's part of it, and then we've adapted it slightly to Mumbles as well. We've tried to keep the classical theme so it fits in with the Georgian architecture around here in Mumbles, but also so timing-wise, it's timeless. So as it beds in the Stone Ages and the Render Ages, it will look timeless. So
And
that's a
that is-
major important part of it.
I love that, because you do see buildings around,
Yeah.
and the older buildings of Swansea do age particularly well.
They do, yes.
And you get modern buildings built over the last 30 years or so that don't tend to age that well. This one looks as if it's going to age spectacularly well, doesn't it?
I hope so. I mean, the biggest thing for me is I didn't want a modern building, and then all of a sudden after 2 years it had grey on the outside, the render was greeny grey, and it looked pretty awful. So we used as many natural materials as possible. All the stone is limestone. We used old-fashioned render to give it that old-fashioned feel about it.
Where did the idea for this originally come from?
My family owned the old Tivoli cinema here, which was an amusement arcade, and obviously amusements aren't the same as they used to be 20 odd years ago, because everybody has computers and iPhones, etc. And it was looking pretty sorry, the 1930s building. So it started off, we've got to sort this out. It's right on the front of Mumbles. We've got to regenerate that. And then we looked at the whole area around it and decided, we should create a restaurant quarter. Because you've got that amazing view of the bay, right in front of you, and it should be used. A lot of Mumbles doesn't look onto the bay or is not so close to it. Everybody loves Mumbles who's from Swansea, and it's great to walk along the promenade and walk up and down, and not only use this place, but use existing restaurants as well.
There's some lovely buildings in Swansea as well, aren't there?
Yeah, some really lovely buildings. The city centre has got some great 1950s buildings, some great Art Deco buildings that are unloved at the moment. They need a bit of attention, but the city centre is not a basket case. It can be improved, and I'd love to do it, and I think it's got huge potential.
It's such a great legacy as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a legacy for the whole of the city, really. You know, we just need to look at, you know, creating more jobs and creating an environment whereby it's around lifestyle. It's Swansea's a city you want to live in because the lifestyle's so great. We've got all the natural beauty around us. We just need to improve some of the urban.
So you're going to be sticking around for a while?
I hope so. I hope there's opportunities to do more in Swansea, and I hope people like what we've done so far. And yeah, it'd be great to improve and give Swansea, you know, more attractions, and make it an even bigger destination than it is today.
I think you need to do more like this. This is great.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I really would love to.
James, good to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.